Listen, AI isn't some future technology anymore. It's here, quietly stepping into your daily life. And you've seen it. You maybe even used it. A tool to write faster, a summary button at work, a chatbot that sounds almost too real. And at first, it just feels helpful, like a shortcut, like convenience. But something beneath the surface is shifting. And we've always made meaning through effort, through problems, through building, through the act of moving forward through life together. Now, the problems are starting to disappear. And when the problems disappear, the purpose of solving them disappears too. So as AI keeps solving more and more, the question is, what's left for us to do, to strive for, to be? Now, by nature, we're directional beings. We're constantly trying to evolve by setting goals and chasing them. That feeling of chasing something is how we know who we are. But when AI starts removing the small frictions of life, the waiting, the writing, the struggle to figure things out, it feels like relief. Less effort, fewer reasons to stop. Everything starts to move on its own. And at first, it feels great. You get more done in less time. You feel capable and almost limitless. But eventually, the friction you removed was also the thing that kept you grounded in thought. And without struggle, goals start to lose shape. And without goals, you lose direction. And soon, you'll be moving, but you really aren't sure why. And the days will start to blur, progress will start to feel flat, and motion will replace meaning. And it doesn't feel bad, just quiet, like you've traded direction for a sense of relief. But relief without reason doesn't last. It slowly fades into something else, a sense of aimlessness. And when direction fades, the mind still looks for something to follow. It hates the feeling of standing still, and in that space of uncertainty, AI will become the default. And it doesn't just solve problems anymore, it'll give you small reasons to keep moving, a task, a suggestion, a response, a plan of action. And each one lands just right when you need it. Enough to feel productive, enough to fill the silence, and you start to confuse the movement with meaning. The algorithm becomes the compass, and little by little, you stop noticing that you aren't choosing the direction anymore. You're just keeping up with where it's pointing you. And it doesn't feel controlling. It feels helpful, convenient, safe. But the more it fills in the blanks, the less you will sit in silence. And you stop asking the questions that used to build larger thoughts. And the pauses where understanding used to live are now completely handled for you. And AI doesn't remove aimlessness. It'll just manage it by feeding you emotion before you can feel stillness in your day-to-day life. And that's how Reliance begins. Not through force, but by a sense of relief. Because it's easier to let the system decide what comes next than to face the weight of not knowing. And every time it fills that space for you, you lose a little more of the instinct to fill it yourself. And over time, that's how the mind changes, not all at once, but through small habits of surrender. Until eventually, Reliance doesn't feel like help anymore, it just ends up feeling normal. And when Reliance becomes routine, something deeper starts to erode. Not your mind, but your motivation. And every time you hand off the thought to AI, you dull the muscle that makes you human, the one that wonders, the one that questions and decides. And the first thing to weaken is your curiosity, then your patience, then conviction. Because AI gives you speed, but speed without struggle breeds shallowness. And the faster you move, the less time there is to ask why. And you start reacting instead of really thinking through things. You start letting what shows up in front of you decide what happens next. And you're still making moves, but they're not coming from you anymore. They're coming from what was suggested or what AI believes you should do next. And you keep scrolling, replying, answering, clicking, and just following the flow. And over time, that flow starts leading you. It's subtle, and it doesn't feel forced. And you still feel in control, but the control feels lighter, almost like borrowed, like it's being handed to you instead of coming from you. And eventually, your thoughts start sounding familiar, but they're not completely your own. And you're repeating patterns you didn't choose, moving in directions you didn't plan. And that's not control. That's quiet dependence. The slow handoff of your decisions to something that's always ready to make them for you. And when that happens long enough, it doesn't just start to shape how you think, it starts to dull what you feel. And the part of you that used to wrestle with questions, that used to care why things mattered, starts to fade into the background. And, as AI begins to shape our thoughts and influence our emotions, it's easy to forget how deep that reach really goes. Through touching everything around us, it starts to reach into us, into how we think, what we notice, and even what we care about. But there's a limit because it can imitate almost everything we do, but it can't touch what we are. It doesn't dream, it doesn't suffer, it doesn't wonder why it exists, but we do. And as the outer world keeps getting smoother through AI, optimization, the inner world starts to slip out of focus. And you stop spending time alone in your own head. You fill every quiet moment with noise, with music, with social media, with just a constant stimulation and movement. Anything but stillness. And the machine is always there, ready to answer back. It's easier to ask it what you think than to sit long enough to find the answer yourself. And you start trusting its reflections with your own. Its version of you is quicker, it's cleaner, it's almost convincing. And slowly, the part of you that used to feel alive in silence, the one that wondered, that reached, that cared, it starts to fade into the background. And the deep part of you that used to ask, question, and seek understanding goes quiet, not because it was taken, but because we stopped listening. And we're still early. AI isn't taking everything, but it's touching everything. It's touching our notes, our habits, our minds. And the question isn't how far it'll go, it's what parts of ourselves we'll stop using when it does grow. Even if AI helps us write, plan, build, it doesn't care. It can't. It can't sit with you in silence. It can't tell you what matters when nothing has to. And in this new world where AI is built to solve everything, I don't think we should go out of our way to resist it, but instead remember what is still worth doing without it.